Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Monday edition of Today in Sports Betting. Scotty, it is Championship Monday. Time for one shining moment, my friend, otherwise known as Today in Sports Betting. No, can we start calling our show One Shining Moment? Is that a thing?
We might get sued, but that's up to the people upstairs. That's above my pay grade.
We'll get sued by the people that made the song. We'll get sued by the NCAA, CBS.
Other than that, though, good idea.
Might be some mighty big feet tromping on us. Well, Scott, of course, we've got our sides and total plays on this game available as part of our premium package. So we can't really delve into what we're talking about as far as the size, what we're going to do, but it doesn't mean there isn't plenty of action, Scott. Lots of fun prop bets and things like that out there. You got any favorites, buddy?
For the props for the title game? Well, there was one that I was looking at.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, I figured that's what you meant. Well, looking at the actual matchup here, my question for you for Baylor is, what exactly do you try to do with Timmy? And my other question would be, if you're Baylor, do you use Vital even more because of his switching ability, or do you use him less? Because if he gets switched on to Timmy, he's basically just screwed.
Well, I think Baylor's going to keep switching. They're not going to stop switching. That's part of what they do.
They also don't have a choice because Gonzaga will just pick you apart unless you.
That's what I'm saying. They're not going to get sucked into the screens. They haven't for the entire tournament. That's their deal, dude. They play the no middles defense. They do everything to funnel you outside, funnel you towards the baseline. They don't give up easy looks inside. Man, I'll tell you what. That's one of the best defensive performances I've seen of the year last week. Yeah, against Houston. The quickness that they have, the way they swarm to the ball, it was a thing of beauty, Scott. It was a work of art. It really was.
Well, definitely true, but I also have to ask you, since we're talking about it, how impressive was the game against Houston? Because truth is, as mentioned before, Houston was the first team to make the Final Four without having to face a single-digit seed. Was Houston actually that good? Well, I think they were, but I think you can have a conversation about it.
You know what? I just count that as a win, because you can't, much like you can't get sucked into, the Cinderella team that looks good in the first round, or something like that. You can't let recency bias dictate what you're going to do. You have to look at the body of work. Now, Scott, I'd put forth that I think that the vast majority of the country has kind of forgotten about Baylor, at least until the last couple of weeks. But for most of the season, before the COVID outbreak there, the first week in February, these teams weren't 1-2. Scott, they were pretty much 1-1A.
Yeah, that's what I.
Everyone talked about. I mean, obviously Gonzaga was first because somebody had to be, but everybody talked about how there was Baylor and Gonzaga, and then there was everybody else. They didn't say Gonzaga, then everybody else until later after Baylor came back. They looked sluggish. They came back. They beat Iowa State by 7, is like a 20-point favorite or something ridiculous.
It wasn't good. Then they got killed by Kansas.
They got killed by Kansas. Had another lackluster performance against K-State. They win by 7, 6, whatever it was. They go to overtime against West Virginia. They lose to Oklahoma State in the tournament. And everybody's like, all right, well, I guess we'll make them a 1 seed because they've only got 2 losses, but we don't really like them. And then all of a sudden, almost like they got some more time to practice. They got time playing together. And Baylor looks exactly like they did at the beginning of the season. They're draining the threes. They're shutting down the other opposition on offense, covered every number, and they've looked really good in the process doing it. Not to take anything away from Gonzaga, until the last game, they had looked like absolutely the best team in the country as well. So, Scott, we should have a clash of the Titans here. I think it's going to be an interesting game. Your thoughts on all of that?
Definitely true. I dodged your first question because I was actually looking at some props. You asked me my favorite props. I went on air and I was thinking about taking Vital over in rebounds and actually looked at his performances lately. He's really been phased out of Baylor's game planning for the most part, mostly because of foul trouble. And
right.
He really just can't stop getting into foul trouble. You look at the games here, played against Wisconsin, played 27 minutes, had 7 rebounds, which, is over the 5.5. Played against Villanova, played 23 minutes, had 9 rebounds, had 4 fouls. Played against Arkansas, played 18 minutes, 5 fouls, so he fouled out in 18 minutes, and had 4 rebounds. And played against Houston, 4 fouls in 15 minutes, finished with 1. So I know that there's juice to the under in rebounds, and I know it's dicey to take a rebound prop. I have to assume Vital gets into foul trouble here.
It's the best team he's played.
And you've seen what he's done against fast-paced teams like Arkansas. He fouled out in 18 minutes. So I got to assume.
And they're dumb fouls.
Yeah, he reaches all the time.
They're reaching fouls. It's just ridiculous.
But that's why if I had to look for Vital props, I'd probably lean to under on some of his action because A, he's not that involved in the offense. B, based on all the switching and all of the up-tempo play, I got to assume he's going to pick up 2 fouls in about the first, 7 minutes?
Right.
Right. He's not going to see the court.
I agree with that. I don't see any way he fixes that problem in 2 days, and I don't see any way that he squares off against some of the best guards he's going to see all season, and he doesn't get into foul trouble. I agree with that.
That's how I view it. Plus, if you look at how Gonzaga's played so far this season, Gonzaga really, really likes to stretch it out, go 4 wide with Timmy in the middle. And Vital, I don't really think is going to fit that game plan quite well defensively. You're going to be switching off between Thamba, and you're going to be switching off with I'm not going to try. I'm going to butcher his last name. But you know what I'm talking about. The issue I have there is
Chatwa.
Yeah, Chatwa. Sorry, I didn't want to butcher it. But either way,
a lot of silent letters going on there, bud.
Wouldn't you agree that Baylor might be better off in this particular matchup since Kispert is pretty much a stretch 4? That Baylor might just use Flagler more and run their 4 point guard offense. And
God, don't tell me it's another Flagler prop.
No, it's not a Flagler prop. I'm just saying, based on how Vital should not be involved, based on how Gonzaga plays, don't you think Baylor should try to go smaller so they can switch more easily?
I would think the problem with that is what do you do with Timmy?
You'd have to leave one of your big men on him. So you have to go 4 out keep the big man in the middle, but the point is Vital, I don't think really has a spot. I don't know how he's supposed to guard anyone on Gonzaga. They're going to run him around.
Just alternate with Chatwa and Thamba and just let the guards do their thing.
Pretty much. I mean, they've gone in the late in games to Flagler joining Teague and Butler and Mitchell. I think you'll see a decent amount of that.
Yeah, they've certainly got enough practice as Vital. What is he played 20 minutes once in the tournament?
That's what I'm saying, yeah. He gets into foul trouble every game. So I think you'd agree that if you try to match Gonzaga through defense with the strategy, I think you pretty much have to try to go small with 4 guards and 1 big man and just try to switch everything, keep Gonzaga in front of you.
Yeah, that's probably going to be what they do the majority of the night because they want – I think they want speed. I think they want quickness on the defensive side of the ball.
I think you have to, which is also why I'm kind of curious about Meyer, who I know, of course, is a very, very solid flamethrower off the bench for Baylor. His over-under is 9.5 points. I feel like he's going to be a disaster defensively, don't you think?
He certainly hasn't. He hasn't been outstanding on that side of it.
That's what I'm saying. So it's really depending on how you think Scott Drew is going to game plan for this. You know, Gonzaga is going to play it at their pace because that's what they do, and they haven't strayed from that all season long. But Baylor can play fast, can play slow, can really play in a variety of ways. I know they're going to try to slow it, but then that might hurt Baylor offensively. This team, when it goes up tempo, is still very good.
It's the thing. It's like the Chiefs. When people say the way to beat the Chiefs is to slow it down, you play defense. Obviously, that worked in the Super Bowl, but before that had not been the case. And people made that mistake against Gonzaga. You want to slow them down. You want to run pace on them. Take them out of there. That doesn't work. The only way to beat Gonzaga, they've been challenged a couple times, and it's by teams that have basically tried to go right at them, and that's the only way to do it. I'm
trying to think of all the time they struggled. UCLA played faster than people thought. BYU played faster than people thought.
Right.
West Virginia runs the press, or they did briefly earlier in the year, so they played faster.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like Baylor is probably going to go quicker, and I think that based on that, you should see a decent amount of foul trouble for some of Baylor's, I'd say, less than stellar defenders.
Yep, I would agree with that. So definitely look at some of your props there. As far as think about their defensive liability, think about their fouls. I think Vital under on the props are good. I think Meyer under 9.5 is a play. I just don't know that he's going to get all that much time,
Well, that's what I think, is that if he's a liability defensively, which he is, I mean, you can't really sugarcoat it. If you're looking through the minutes he's played, 24, 12, 20, 19. I don't know if he's going to get enough run, especially if he just gets torched defensively. I mean, in 20 minutes against Arkansas, he had 3 fouls. 19 minutes against Houston, he had 3 fouls. He gets into foul trouble all the time as well. So if he's being forced to switch onto Suggs or anybody, you might have a serious problem on your hands. So that's
Agreed.
how I look at it.
Agreed. I like Ayayi over 1.5 3-pointers at plus 127.
He's been getting buckets from back there during the
Yep.
tournament.
Yep, he's been hot. He's and I like. I think that's a good. I think that's a solid play. Of all the 1.5s, that's probably my favorite.
Well, I know that you mentioned to me a very nice nugget. I don't know if you have a premium on it on the 1st to 15.
No, I don't have an official play on that.
Well, if you want to talk about it, you can. You have Gonzaga minus 145, Baylor plus 105.
Yeah, let me see.
I know you brought it up before it went on air, so I thought you might want to talk.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that real quick here as you want to talk about anything else. Can you stall for 30 seconds?
I've never been in this position before, so I'll see if I can come up with something. But yeah, I feel like so far in this game, I know we can't talk about spreads and totals. There has been some money on Baylor, and there has been money towards the under, mostly because it's a title game with a total in the like around 160, 159 or so. I think it's one of those games where, first of all, I'm not surprised you have seen money on Baylor. I'm kind of curious how much of that is an overreaction from the UCLA game and how much of that is just Baylor being really good. So I am kind of curious. Do you have any thoughts on how much of that you think is an overreaction? How much do you think is just people thinking Baylor can actually hang with this team?
I think a lot of it's an overreaction. I think that's what people do.
But I kind of feel the same way, but I'm just curious.
I totally agree. Okay, so here's the stats. The last 9 games, the Zags lost the race to 15. They're just 4-5, and they've been beaten to the 15-point mark by teams like Loyola Marymount and Santa Clara, so even slow starts there in conference play. Baylor's been much more consistent, 1st to 15, cashed in 7 straight. So Baylor's getting plus money. What do we see?
Plus 105.
Plus 105. Yeah, that's the little nugget there about the 1st to 15. That is courtesy of covers.com, by the way.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I like that very much.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, man. Anything else about this game? Is it going to be as good as people think, Scott?
Well, I thought the Super Bowl was going to be better than it was. So, some people, just because you have your hopes up, I don't think it's going to be as good as the UCLA game. Spoiler alert. That's one of the best games I've ever seen from a college basketball NCAA tournament perspective. But I think this game should be close. I still wonder, because both these teams are kind of similar in the sense that they both just go on a massive run all the time, where there's just like a 3-minute stretch where they just absolutely demolish their opponents.
Right.
And both these teams have been doing that all year. So I'm really curious if one team will be able to, I'd say, force the other one into even a shorter run, so to speak, where the other one who might have a 5-minute run compared to a 3-minute run, that might be all it takes. But I think this game will be very good. I really like both teams. I had this final in my bracket along with, I believe, 16% of ESPN because it was chalky and they're both the best teams by far.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for Gonzaga. I think it should be close, though. But I think this game will be very good, but I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to finish in a one-possession game. I'll put it that way.
Okay. All right. Good enough. All right, Scott. So turning our attention to the professionals, the association is in play tonight. Scott, we've got one game on TV, and we have major question marks about that game as the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knickerbockers go at it there at the Barclays Center. Scott Harden did not play on Sunday. He's listed as doubtful for this game, although at one point this afternoon he was out. So now he is and actually the latest, he's actually been upgraded to questionable. There was rumblings about the ability of perhaps Kevin Durant to come back in this game, and it looks like
he might be one game away.
Looks like he's going to be back this week, but probably not on Monday. So we have no total. We currently have the Nets favored by 6.
I see 6 or 5.5, depending on which side you like.
Okay. Scott, am I crazy to like the Knicks here?
No, because the last time they played, it came down to a controversial jump ball or a controversial travel with Randall. And the Nets, I mentioned it numerous times, this team is not good at covering against bad teams. And Chicago, I don't think it's a very good team. I know that the Nets were shorthanded. They lost outright yesterday. This team is very, very good at rising to the competition. And against bad teams, they tend to play with their food a little bit.
And the Knicks aren't necessarily a bad team. They're not one of the elite, but they're certainly.
I'm aware. I'm just saying that I feel like they kind of put on automatic pilot for stretches of every game. And I just think that the Knicks have kept it close against them so far this season. I think that you'll see a close game throughout. The Knicks, if there's one thing that they do have, it might not be talent, but they have heart, which sounds very, very cliched. But I think that's a good way to sum up the Knicks because they really they fight for a full 48, and that's what the Nets don't do. So I think that the Knicks should keep this game close.
You know what the Knicks also have, Scott? They have a defense. They play good defense. They're the best defense in the NBA as far as points per game goes. And we've talked about the ins and outs against using points per game as a metric, but
I use offense efficiency,
I know you do.
But the Knicks are still top 2, so it's not like it matters.
I think offensive efficiency is more important in college than it is in the NBA because
either way, the point is the Knicks points against defensive efficiency. They're an elite defensive team.
Tops, they're tops in both if it matters to you. So they're giving up just 103.2 points per game after the All-Star game. That's actually better than their season average. So I thought there'd be a little regression after the All-Star game. That has not come to fruition. Brooklyn. Playing a little better defense, even their last 7, they've given up just 107 points per game, which doesn't sound fantastic, but that's 7 points better than their yearly average. But Scott, you don't want to fall off the Oloki doke here on the automatic under with the Knicks because these two teams have played twice as far this season and they've gone over. They've gone 225, they've gone 229 so far this year. So
we don't have a total, but I'm assuming it'll probably be in the high 2 teens, low 220s.
Yep, 219-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood.
That's what I think.
It was it was 223 last time. Of course, that was Harden, and then without Harden back in January, it was 216.5.
Mm-hmm. So I said we said 219, basically in the middle.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. So we'll see what happens with these guys. I wouldn't make any kind of play on this, obviously, till you find out Harden and or Durant news.
You can't touch it because you don't know who the Nets are going to be using.
You really can't. We can tell you how we're leaning, and we're leaning as if Harden isn't going to play, but.
I would lean Knicks anyway.
Yeah, I would. I would agree with that. I would say that, but you're going to get more points likely.
Yeah.
All right. So, anything else on the NBA card grab your attention before we get out of here?
No, I still got to find a play of the day. But looking at the NBA card, well, it's one of those matchups or one of those days, I should say, where you're pretty happy the college basketball title game is on.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these games are awful.
These games were scheduled like they're going to be up against the national championship game.
That's really what they are scheduled like. If you want to go through the card, Cleveland, San Antonio, Washington, Toronto. Stop me when you find an interesting game.
Right. The Nets and Knicks are the only interesting game.
Yeah, you have Washington, Toronto, Sacramento, Minnesota, Detroit, Oklahoma City.
Jazz, Mavs.
Yeah, Utah, Dallas is the only one on the fence. And then you have the Suns against Houston, which the Suns are good. Houston's not. But that's your entire NBA card.
Well, and stop me if you've heard this. Porzingis is questionable.
Shocker. Who would have thought?
So, of course, we don't have a total on that game, and that's Jazz by 5.5. So, good luck.
Not a great NBA card.
No, take a look at it tomorrow when the injury situation becomes a little more concrete.
Yep.
Yeah, they had and that's funny, Scott, because they have the Nets and the Knicks early, and they don't even try to put up a game on TV against the national championship. They just said no.
I don't blame them. You know that you're going to lose the ratings and everything, so who cares?
Yeah, it's a good night to be CBS.
Yep.
Scott, what do you have on what do you have for the official start time there?
You talking about for the championship game?
Yeah, I've got 9:20 Eastern. Is that correct?
I see 9:20. You never know about an extended national anthem before a title game and stuff like that. So
I'd seen 8:20 a couple places, But the places I really trusted said 9:20, and I was pretty sure that was right.
It's 9:20 Eastern time.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I know. No, I've seen 8:20 Eastern time.
Yeah.
But that's obviously it's wrong. But I've seen that a couple different places, so it's weird.
I see 9:20, but then
Yeah.
again, you're going to be off by a couple minutes depending on the national.
No. But you're not going to be off on an hour.
Again, you're talking about an hour. I get it.
My point is that's a really late start time.
Yes, it is. But are you surprised by it?
No, they want to make sure that everybody on the West Coast can watch Gonzaga play.
They want to make sure it's the only thing on everybody's calendar.
Well, that's also true. They clear the decks.
Yeah, that's what I said. The only thing you really have is Knicks and Nets, and that should be over by about opening tip. So,
got a little baseball. We're going to take a one day hiatus on baseball, and then we'll be back with our cleats and our bats on Tuesday.
How's baseball going for you so far?
Talk about the baseball schedules. It's been good. I had the Royals over as one of my premiums today.
Didn't go the way you thought it would, but it went over.
No, it didn't go the way I thought it would. But I wasn't totally invested in Singer yet. He's young. He's got good stuff, but still struggling. Royals bullpen, still a Royals bullpen. But yeah, I was surprised they couldn't generate more against Texas. They did just enough though. We got an early line on that at 9.5. So
you had 2 runs in the 9th, so it ended up going over.
Yes, we did. So that was fine. And of course, we pounded the unders or pounded the over on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. I didn't bet a single baseball game this weekend.
Well, we're up so far, buddy. So
I'm a nice even. I ended up winning on the Rays money line that I set on. What was the last show we did?
On the what?
The last show we did was what, Friday?
Yeah.
So Friday, I liked the Rays, and then Wendell hit that 3-run home run.
Oh, you said the Braves.
No, the Rays.
Yeah.
Wendell hit that home run in the 9th, and they won.
Yeah, beautiful thing.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, as always, if you're looking for another opinion on this game or any other games, but if you're looking for a great in-depth piece, go ahead and check out winnersandwinners.com. They do deep dives and predictions, not just on this game, but every game, every single day. And, of course, we appreciate you watching. All we ask for in return is you give us the thumbs up. Maybe give us a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you're playing. Tell me what you think of my rockin' Drew Timmy mustache. You didn't even mention my Drew Timmy mustache.
I didn't, because I figured it's either going to age really well if they win, or it's going to age horribly if they lose. So I'm kind of.
As I was doing this, I'm realizing this is going to take a minute to grow out. And then the worst thing that could possibly happen, my wife goes, "Well, I kind of like it." Could be my look for a while, buddy. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing for you, but you kind of did it to yourself.
I know. Well, I blame my son.
Okay, that works too. You could also blame, the other person who wasn't involved at all. Well, you made a bet and you lost, so that's
exactly.
Either way,
I blame Timmy because he had too many points.
Happens.
More points than Mobley.
It's easier. Just blame Mobley because he's not playing. So just blame Mobley and your life will be easier.
Who knew I took the wrong Mobley brother?
Happens. I think if you took them both combined, they beat Timmy. If that helps. Yeah,
Timmy still outscored him like 21-19 or whatever. But
yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, that's going to do it for today in sports betting. We appreciate everybody watching. Good luck on all of your plays today. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time on Today in Sports Betting. Bye-bye.